Hey everyone, this is Jessie Nichols George, and I'm coming to you today with this month's video. And this is a really important topic. And first of all, I just want to again express my extreme gratitude because, as you can see behind me, I've been in an amazing space. I'm actually not filming outside, which I love nature and I love filming outside, and I'll be back to doing that next month. But I was gifted with this beautiful, incredible space for a month to work out of and to be in as a result of some people that found out about my story and my journeys, and I'm very, very grateful to them for bringing this space to me and providing this for me to spend a little time nourishing and helping myself. And as a result, I think it actually helped me avoid some of the things, at least to the extent that some other people are dealing with right now, which brings me into this month's video. And this month's video, I'm really going to bring in some of my code work on this, because what I want to talk about is adrenal exhaustion and advanced adrenal exhaustion. And I wanted to address this because there are so many factors involved right now with this. And I've had probably at least 6 people, at minimum, at least 6 people come to me in the last week and say, Jessie, I love you and I appreciate everything you're doing for me, and this is what I've been dealing with. I've been dealing with extreme adrenal exhaustion, or advanced adrenal exhaustion, or just plain adrenal exhaustion. And I'm finding this from a lot of light workers, spiritual workers, people that do, incredible variety of different areas in the spirituality realm, and a lot of the coaches and the mentors and people like that, and they're coming and they're just saying, man, I feel like I need to catch my breath. And I have to say, I totally relate, because I have been also running on this high pace level, and we naturally do that at the holidays and naturally get a letdown, so to say, after the holidays, and a lot of people splurge at the holidays, and so their body's trying to balance out from the sugars and the extra foods and all of the family dynamics that have been going on, and getting back into routines and all of these different pieces and components that are happening in the world. And then, of course, we have our life stressors. Just on today's show, for example, I was talking about special forces being deployed. But what I really want to focus on is, what is this adrenal exhaustion all about? What is this piece all about for us? Because first of all, what's been happening is people have been running at the super, super high pace, and on a physical level, that has been behind a lot of the adrenal exhaustion. A lot of spiritual workers have been pushing themselves beyond their limits, not holding their boundaries up, and working very, very hard to keep things going and to stay on top of things and to do the extras that have needed to be done. And it's kind of like being on that sugar rush or that caffeine rush, and now they're crashing from that. And probably a lot of them have been functioning on that, and that also on a physical level can affect our adrenal glands tremendously. But when we look at this adrenal exhaustion from a code aspect, what's very interesting is that it's hitting a lot of people at this time. And when I say at this time, because when we look at the month of February in general, it's really about claiming our power. And this oftentimes happens where we run into trials or tribulations when we are evolving into a greater level of our power, a greater level of being empowered from ourselves, and increasing in divine alignment. There's a programming within us that says we have to surpass something. We have to go through a trial or a test, and it's important that we keep in mind that it's not the divine energy that is creating that test, or God energy that's creating that test. But what's literally happening when we start to look at the codes of adrenal exhaustion, and forgive me, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, I've got a couple of little notes here, is that the adrenals are about divine self. Adrenals are about operating from the wise self and success that comes from wisdom. And then we have exhaustion, the energy of exhaustion, which is about needing assistance from other people. In other words, we're doing more than what our share is. So when we bring this adrenal exhaustion together, we have the divine self that is doing more than its share to help others and is now in need of help. And this is natural because so many light workers and energy workers and spiritual people and people on their path are trying to help, but they're not helping themselves enough. And so they get to this burnout stage. Well, this is also in a phase that happens to coincide this year with stepping into our power, stepping into our divine self further. And it also coincides with the end of the seasonal year, which is a time when we're naturally supposed to be introspective and resting and not on this high activity, high doing space, because less action can burn us out faster when we're trying to take action during a period that's supposed to be about rest. And this year is a bigger year for rest. We're not supposed to do some of the high energy things. We have to be more well planned with that and more cautious and more selective this year, because that is the energy of the year. Now, when we bring in the energy of advanced adrenal exhaustion, because that very specifically has come up and people have said, I am so burned out that I try to do one little thing and I'm exhausted and then I have to rest for days and days and days. Well, there's of course a variety of pieces, what's happening with somebody's personal coding, with that particular space, with that particular date, and there's all kinds of pieces like that that could also drain out their energy even more so than just doing it at other times, for example, plus the season of the year, all of these different components, because naturally our body is trying to prepare for the next seasonal year. It's trying to prepare for the seeds that are going to come out. It's trying to prepare for the growth that's getting ready to happen. And a lot of us, as we start to think about that, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm already so burned out. How do I take this next piece on? How do I do this growth piece? And so it's important for us to take a look at this and take heed right now to what this is telling us, because when we bring in the piece of it being advanced, what we bring in is the advanced adrenal exhaustion is really about self-deception. And it's about when we hit an advanced adrenal exhaustion with our body, we have deceived ourselves into thinking that we could handle more than we could handle. And we've deceived ourselves into where our boundaries actually were. And we've deceived ourselves in various ways. That also codes out in a way that shows that we become the victim to the situation. We place ourselves in a victim pattern and a victim energy code that then forces us to stop. It forces us to rest. It forces us to lay low. We have no other choice at that point. So when we bring all of these different components together, the reason that we're being forced to stop is because we've been so busy that we haven't honored our spiritual path. We're not operating from a spiritual space. Even if you're doing spiritual work, you may not be operating from that spiritual space, which is what advanced adrenal exhaustion is trying to tell us. And so when we look at that, what it's saying is you have to develop the spiritual first. And this has been a big challenge for a lot of people, because a lot of the spiritual workers I know have been like, how do I pay my bills? I'm right on the edge. I'm living, just paycheck to paycheck or dollar to dollar or client to client or whatever it is. And, I'm concerned about this. But as I have proven, particularly over the last 2 months, for anybody who's been following my journey, when you live in the spirit, when you live in the heart, when you live in the love, you will receive the assistance. I have received tons of assistance in the last month or two that has opened my heart beyond belief, even bigger. But it's because I chose to be happy and I chose to be in love, regardless of my circumstances, regardless of what was happening. So when we hit an advanced adrenal exhaustion, piece, what we need to do is we need to slow down and focus on what the spiritual lessons are at hand. We need to slow down and put the spiritual first. It's telling us we are out of balance. We need to slow down and we need to stop and we need to honor our own processes and things and to stop overdoing. And that can be very hard because our mind wants to deceive us into saying you're a victim to having money issues, you're a victim to this, you're a victim to that. So a lot of our victim patterns come up, a lot of our fear patterns come up. People sometimes even have like apocalyptic dreams or really hard, scary dreams. And this is because of the way the body is burned out and it runs on an acidic level. So nurturing it with things like sea salt and water where the cells can really hydrate is really valuable. Going to really high nutrient, high, like organic greens, and a lot of people, I know there's plenty of my friends that do these things anyways, but really focusing on the digestive, because a big part of what happens with the high or advanced adrenal exhaustion phases is that the nerves are literally shot in the body. So your nervous system needs to rebuild, and it's going to need things like pumpkin seeds and nuts and things like that that have some of the essential fatty acids to them. It needs the structures and flat out needs rest. Flat out needs the extra rest. And you might find yourself wanting to sleep 10 or 12 hours a day, and you need to honor as much of that as you possibly can. You need to shut down the computer at a certain point and make sure you're getting that 8 hours, those sorts of things. So I wanted to share this because adrenal exhaustion happens most of the time when we are completing a phase of our spiritual process, when we are completing one phase and getting ready to open to a very big new phase of things. And again, while this can hit each person individually in a little bit different way as far as how those codes interact with them directly, as a general rule of thumb, adrenal exhaustion is that completion phase. It's that completion, that ending, that closing things off. And just like most things in life, if you were to complete working at a job, if you were to complete a relationship, if you were to complete school, whatever it is, we oftentimes hit that period of exhaustion in there as we're completing that phase. And that is a very similar energy pattern that people are experiencing. So take care of yourself, take heed, try not to get to the advanced stages, but if you're there and you're experiencing this, take heed to what this is about and take heed to the honoring of some time for your own spiritual healing, your own spiritual lessons, and to simply just rest and be still, because that's where we achieve some of our greatest connection, to just feel the love for you and to feel the love flowing through you, not directed at anybody, not having to put out any particular type of energy or do anything, but just being in that space. And, certainly if you need help finding what your type of music is or finding specific things for getting through some of this healing, that's something I can help you with in coding as well, looking at your personal codes and going from there. So this is Jessie Ann Nichols George with this month's video and talking about advanced adrenal exhaustion. And if you're there, I'm wishing you the best of healing. You're going to come through this. You're going to come out of it. And nothing lasts forever. And I know it's brutal going through it, but start to take care of yourself. Take heed of this message and start to focus on your spiritual self for a while, and you will see things turn around. So until next month, much love to all of you. Stay in your heart, stay in the love, and you'll see miracles happening in your life as well. You can find out about all of my work, or if you'd like to find out more about how this applies to you directly and particularly, we can do some code interpretation work with you. And all of that is at my website, Jessie Ann Nichols George, #1.com. Take care, everybody. See you next month, probably outdoors again. Bye-bye.